Hey Todd, we saw a few of the guys on the roster in the taxi squad join the group late today. Is that a plan just for kind of safety measures of keeping the two groups a little bit more separated?
No, not. It has absolutely nothing to do with safety measures. We're just skating the players that we believe will be in the lineup tonight, keeping the taxi squad and the extras away from them for the first 10 minutes, just so they get what they need, and then the remaining players will join and get a heavier, harder workout in, and that's the only reason why we did that.
Cool. Appreciate the clarification. And yesterday on the call, Rob Blake said that going into this camp, the team knows who it is now after last year. What would you say the identity of the team's going to be this season?
Well, I think the group as a whole still has a lot of winning or championship traits in it. The five remaining veterans that have won Stanley Cups here, they still know how and believe in winning a certain way, and they're responsible, and that just runs throughout the organization. It's hard to get that instilled into a group when they don't have it. So one, we've got that. Two, I think we have some structure and an idea of where we need to be on the ice and why we're doing it. So we need to grow that a bit, but we should be a hard team to play against in all three zones. I'd like to think that the pace of our game is improving. We're becoming a faster team, a more skilled team, but also maintaining those heavy and hard traits that have always been king centerpieces.
Thanks, Todd.
Next up is Dennis Bernstein.
Todd, over 300 days since your last game, your feelings right now?
Excitement. I watched the games last night with all the teams that played, and every one of them had played in the bubble. So it was hard to judge what a team like ours or the other six that hasn't played in that amount of days will look like and how they'll deal with night number one. But I believe we're ready. My only concern is we start to think the game rather than play the game, and hopefully our training camps allowed us to get past that. I often use the analogy of the players giving us evidence, and they'll do that tonight. We'll put something in the bank that we can use to improve and work on as we move forward. But the players are excited. There's a nervous excitement, I think, around our team, which is good. They're anxious to see where they fit with everybody else in the league, and I believe that we can get off to a really good start.
What kind of game do you expect from Minnesota tonight?
I think a typical Wild game. They've got some big forwards that can hold on to pucks and create problems below the goal line and around the net, and they generate a lot of offense from their blue line, and very experienced on the back end, very mobile, solid defensively. I know Cam Talbot well. He'll give them a very good night in goal, and they were a team that was really coming on last year when the season was stalled, and went into the bubble, and they played extremely well there. So I don't see any fall off at all coming from their behalf. So we'll have to be prepared and ready to play from minute one on.
Thanks, Todd.
Next up is John Hoven.
Hey, Todd. We've heard so much about this team wanting to make a push for the playoffs here throughout training camp from management and the players, and I'm just curious if you had to pick one X factor in coming into this season in order to accomplish that goal, what do you think it is?
John, I lost you. I don't know why, but I lost you about halfway through the question, and then you just came back at the end. So could you? I apologize, but could you re-ask the question for me?
Yeah. We've heard so much from management and the players throughout training camp about making a push for the playoffs this season. And I'm just wondering what you think the X factor is on your roster to help you accomplish that.
Well, I just believe that we're further ahead right now than we were last year at the beginning. Where are we the team at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year? I think we're somewhere in between. And that gives us a better chance at a much better start. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to go out and rattle off 7 or 8 wins in a row, but I just think some of the mistakes we were making early last year should disappear. I believe our goaltending can be better than it was early last year throughout the organization, and it will be. And special teams, which often win you and lose you games, we now have experience together in those areas. We have some common units. and they have to produce at a higher level. If all of that happens, then we have a chance. If it doesn't, then we have a lot more work to do as an organization, but we're prepared to attack it from either end.
I know how much you like lineup questions, so let's not only talk about today, but look ahead to Saturday's game. I'm just curious what your approach is going to be with the 2-game sets. Regardless of what happens tonight, would you anticipate keeping the same lineup in place if you could for Saturday? Or if you don't see something that you like, do you plan on making an adjustment that quickly?
Well, I think the proof will be in the pudding, if you will. We'll watch the game. We'll analyze what we liked, what we didn't like. We'll look at individuals, line combinations, pairs, and then make future decisions based on all of that. So impossible question for me to fairly answer. We'll know more on today's Thursday, on Saturday, but really just focused on minute 1 tonight more than anything.
Thanks, Todd.
Next up is Jack Harris.
Todd, will your guys' morning skate routine change much this year, just given the nature of the schedule and sort of the other circumstances of this season?
Well, around the league, I think the morning skates are becoming archaic. Early in the year, we use it because there's still things that we need to work on. Perhaps you'll see a lot more optionals or not even having morning skates, as long as the goaltenders are prepared and get what they need. Now, with that being said, we'll probably have up to 7 players on any given night that aren't available to our lineup because of the taxi squad and roster size, and they all need work. So there'll be days where you see our team pregame skate, such as today. There'll be others where we don't skate at all, but 6 or 7 guys will go out and get their work in. So it'll be a mixed bag of tricks throughout this season.
And then do you have a sort of better idea now as you guys get the season started of how you'll integrate like the taxi squad guys into what you guys do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, we consider them part of our team. They have to be prepared. They'll get all the meetings. They'll get all the information. They'll practice with the group on a regular basis. Their entry into practice sometimes might be a little bit delayed, as it was today. They came out once we were done our 12 minutes of pregame skate, but they're very important players. And let's face it, in the environment we're in right now, there's a good chance that a lot of them may see ice time throughout the year, so they all have to be prepared.
That's good. Thanks, Todd. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
All right, and last question here from Joe Reedy.
Hey, Todd, another part of the uniqueness of this season is you're facing opponents back-to-back games. Just do you approach it almost like a home and home, or just how unique will that be this season?
Well, I think adjustments will come into play on both sides. For example, us tonight with power play penalty kill, we may have to do something a little bit different in game 2. But with that being said, these early series are a lot more about us doing some of the things that we want and need to do as a team, and not necessarily adjusting to the opponent. We've got to reestablish our game mentality and do a lot of things right within our world before we start picking apart other teams. So those adjustments, those changes on the fly, if you will, may come a little further into the season for us anyhow. Team that hasn't played in over 300 days.